Steve Pechenik, and this is Steve Talks. Hi, this is Dr. Pechenik. Today I want to talk about repeat offenders. And what I mean by the repeat offenders are the people who are involved in our national security or in the Catholic Church who repeatedly come up as miscreant individuals, meaning that the crime they originally committed gets repeated again and again and again. Let me give you an example. The first man that I want to talk about is John Brennan. I've talked about him before. There's a reason why Trump took away his top secret clearance. He didn't deserve it. A president can take away anybody's clearance for any reason. I personally do not believe in a clearance because it's not of any value, and in the world of the internet, you don't need 4.3 million people having a top clearance. Brennan, in particular, was a man who had no really distinctive talents, really wasn't very bright, came out of Fordham University, a Catholic student who voted for communists, then became a DI or an analyst, converted to a DO or an undercover operative, and was chief of station in Riyadh when the Cobra Towers were blown up. He was never held accountable. He never explained what happened. Instead, he was promoted like any incompetent right up the system by Bill Clinton, also CIA, Bush Jr., also CIA. Brennan was involved in 9/11, as was Mueller, also was involved in the CIA in 9/11, and eventually became the director of CIA under our little brown baby CIA President Obama. Now, for those of you who don't think he was CIA, I want you to think very carefully about his mother, Ann Dunham, who was an anthropologist sent to Indonesia, spoke Russian and Indonesian, and traveled to Indonesian Pakistan. I will guarantee you that Obama has a passport that shows Indonesia and Pakistan as countries where he traveled, also as a CIA operative. Now let's talk about something that I really am upset about, and the church should be upset about, and that is the findings of the prosecutor in Pennsylvania, Shapiro, who found that the church, the Catholic Church in particular, has committed crimes against humanity, not just against individuals and pederasts and pedophiliacs, but against humanity. He reported that over 1,000 children were abused by priests, by cardinals, and the Cardinal McCarrick of Washington, D.C. had to resign. Cardinal Law in Boston had to resign. But the point of fact is, again and again and again, the Catholic Church has been reprehensible, unconscionably criminal, and has never been held accountable until the civilians in the United States and in Australia and in Chile condemned and incarcerated all the cardinals and priests that were involved in the pedophilia. The point that was made was that Pope Francis, whom I have detested from the day he came director of the Jesuits, and I have warned repeatedly, this was a man who was malfeasant, a liar, a coward, a man who allowed 2 of his Jesuit priests to be beaten up by the Argentinian junta, who allowed 4 American nuns to be killed. I have repeatedly called him to be a reprehensible individual and a person who should have been condemned for terrorism and miscreant behaviors, but I have been silenced because of that. But fortunately for me, he has come out again as an ineffectual individual who repeats his miscreant behavior or his lack of courage, his lack of conviction by not condemning those cardinals, those priests who committed these travesties against young men and women under the guise of just horseplay and playing together. No, it wasn't horseplay. And as the prosecutor in Pennsylvania said, this was outright bestiality, pedophilia, and it was totally unconscionable that the church for decades didn't do anything about it. Now the cardinals and priests in Chile have been put in prison. The cardinals and priests in Australia will be put in prison. The cardinals and priests in Ireland will be put in prison. Now I hope Pope Francis will be put in prison for his covert assistance in all of this tragedy. Let me quote Disraeli, who said, "Never complain and never explain." Thank you, and good night and good luck. Hi, this is Dr. Steve Pechenik, and this is Steve Talks.